Okay, getting set up. Good, good. I can hear the stream as well. Good. Happy Friday. Let me just get everything sorted out here and we'll be good to go. Okay. Audio's good. Microphone. Perfect. Right. Oh, I'm so glad it's Friday. So, I'll get started now in a second once everybody starts filtering in. It's my fault as well, primarily because I scheduled this stream to be at 7 o'clock. However, in some Herculean genius, I completely forgot that Pokemon World Championship streams at 7 o'clock. So this stream's only going to be for a couple of hours. And it was intended to be a couple of hours anyway. But I said, you know what? I still want to stream. I'll get it done early. But it is what it is. So I have a number of topics to go through, but I'll start going through that in a couple of minutes. I just want to get warmed up. Usually I start off stuttering. I start off just going, ugh, haven't streamed in weeks. Although I did do a lot of talking to myself and the camera while I was doing my playthrough. So there was that. But that's pretty much worn off now at this point. I will say though, that while we're waiting, now that this is the first time I've actually had the music turned off in Solution 9. And I spent the last 10 minutes just listening to the background and the ambience. And when the music is off, this place sounds like a really cool city. And it sounds different depending where you're standing. So I was standing there and you're listening to the city around you. And then occasionally one of these cars will fly overhead and you hear it flying overhead. So you see them like buzzing around and they have their own sound effects as well, which is really cool. It's something I never noticed before. Just adds to it adds to Solution 9. This is definitely my favorite zone. I'd say ever, to be honest, because I've spent more time in this zone than I have in most others throughout my entire game experience. So I have a few things to talk about in regards to this zone. And you know what, just while I'm here as well, let me just pause the music over here because I want to turn on Solution 9's music again, because this music is so nice. Well, I think I need to lower it down. I honestly I don't get tired of this music at all, so it's very enjoyable. Like, I enjoy this zone immensely. I've walked around every inch of it. I've explored every nook and cranny. So it's an overall very impressive and relaxing area to me. Like, usually futuristic stuff like this doesn't vibe with me, but the mixture of futuristic with classic, like with the game setting essentially, it blends so well. Like when you see all the races that you normally see running around doing their normal things throughout life, and then you have this city where everybody is in a very, well, for lack of a better word, a very relaxed state. So they're all talking about their cultivated steak and stuff like that. The Lalafels are very, very cute. Look at her, she's adorable. I love their headsets as well. The glamours is probably one of my favorite things about this expansion as well. As you see, I'm rocking the code as well, which is really cool. So I think we can pretty much get started with everything else. So there's a few things I wanted to talk about. So there's a primary subject that I had first that I think I'll start off with, is in regards to Solution 9 itself. So let me head back to the other. I never used the Aetheirys. Where's the Aetheirys? Oh, it's over here. Okay. Let me head back to the primary hub of the Nexus Arcade. Real quick. A veritable hive of activity, but it's something I'll go into now in a second. It's something that, it's the one thing that really bugs me about Solution 9. So, as you can see here, my frame rate is going to start to drop. I still haven't gotten my upgraded graphics card. It's on my list, along with like 50 other things to do. I just never end up spending money. But yeah, as you can see, the Nexus Arcade is the hub of activity. So it's a small portion of Solution 9, and it's the primary hub of activity for anything and everything when it comes to Dawntrail, or most of it anyway. It would be busier if it had a market board, of course, but the overall theme of every expansion is 2 cities, one of them has a market board, the other doesn't have a market board. So Solution 9 is the second city added, doesn't have a market board. But it's a hive of activity, especially now because people are still progressing through Savage and everything else. So a lot of people will be here in order to upgrade gear, do lots of random things when it comes to Savage and raiding and stuff like that. So there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I love the activity. I love the fact that this is actually on the slow side, but it is only 5:05. People are still coming home from work. It starts getting very busy then after 6 o'clock. Like, this place is going to be buzzing after 6 o'clock, guaranteed. But I suppose I should stop rambling and talk about what I wanted to talk about. As I said, this is a hive of activity, which is cool. I like it. But when it comes to the city overall, all the activity is here and here. And there's zero activity here, here, or here, except for people progressing through their main story. And I find that to be a real shame. Now, I know we're early into Dawntrail. I know that the main story is going to have us running all over these zones. It's going to be cool. But the thing I have a gripe with is that there's no other reason other than from a lore perspective, where you're just randomly wandering around or you're doing your main story, to explore any of these other zones. I mean, take a look at this, for example. The NPCs are all here. So you have quests, you have the vendors, you have the menders, the summoning bell, the materia master, etc, etc. It's all here. And the rest of the city has absolutely nothing. Not even a single vendor around here, or even here near the Arcadian. Like, the busiest I saw this zone was the day that the Arcadian opened up, because people had to wander over there to unlock it, and then people disappeared. The next day there was nobody here. So Tuesday, hive of activity. Wednesday, there was barely anybody. Thursday, the place was empty. And I know this because I wander through these zones. An ad will run shortly for some viewers. Nope. It wouldn't let me turn the ads off. What was I saying? But yeah, I have a serious gripe in this regard, because there's no reason for people to wander to these other zones, because there's nothing there. But I find myself wandering around this zone on a daily basis. Like, every day since Dawntrail, I've logged in, I've been in Solution 9, and I literally wander around. I don't use the Etheirys, I don't use Aether Travel when it comes to wandering around the city. I just used it a minute ago, mainly because I'm on stream. But I wander around this city constantly because I'm constantly thinking about ideas, or if I'm currently in research mode at the moment because I'm writing the script for my next video, and it's the most relaxing thing for me to do while I'm doing that is to wander around this city. But as you can see, there's literally nobody else wandering around the city because they don't have a reason to. I have a reason to, because I'm immersing myself, I'm researching lore, whether it's to do with Solution 9 Alexandria or not. When I was researching my last 2 videos, I was constantly walking around this area. But nobody else is doing it because they don't have to. It's not in the hub of activity when it comes to their day-to-day gameplay. So if I wasn't making lore videos or anything else like that, probably the odds are I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing right now, which is wandering around exploring the zone. Now, I've done this a million times and I'll do it a million times more. But it's just a real gripe I have with the fact that this is so much wasted space. Like, I can tell that so much effort went into the design of this city. They made it so intricate. Lots of little nods to a number of different aspects, and so much attention to detail, even in the smallest little things, even the smallest side alleyways got the proper attention they deserve. Like, you look around the corner, maybe you see there's a billboard there you didn't notice before. Random little things like that. Or the fact that there's like I only noticed this the other day. There's actually steps over here that you can walk down and go down to the car park and the parking lot. I didn't even notice that until the other day, but that's mainly because I explore around. Like, I didn't know these steps were here. A quest didn't take me here. The main storyline didn't take me here. So I'm wandering around. I feel like I'm almost in Cyberpunk, walking down this alleyway. I see this guy on his bike. He's getting ready. He's warming up the engine. She's ticking over. Very good. But stuff like that I enjoy. But most other players may not do the same things I'm doing because it's not part of their everyday gameplay. I digress. I'll stop mumbling and I'll get to the point of what I'm trying to say. I feel that they need to do something about this zone in general. Like, the fact that all the activity is here and there's absolutely nothing in the other parts of this city is a crying shame. Now, this is not the only city that had this issue. Ulmore is a primary example of another city that had this issue. It had the hub of activity around the Aetheirys, and then it had multiple levels where there's absolutely nothing going on. So this is not a new thing. This has been going on since Shadowbringers. Radzatan kind of had that issue, but it did have vendors in other parts, so it doesn't have that as much of an issue, but it is still there to an extent. Now, I have a couple of ideas about what to do about this. Some of them would be people just going, no, don't do it, I don't like the sound of that. But they're just little simple, little small changes that wouldn't interfere too much with people's day-to-day. So my first idea is the vendor over here that has management of Savage Raid gear. Move that from the Nexus Arcade and put it outside the Arcadian. Put it as a stand or something, like selling merchandise for the Arcadian. Like, that would instantly add a hub of activity in this area and people would have an excuse to come over here. I know a lot of players will be negative about that because they prefer convenience over aesthetics, essentially. So they prefer having everything in one basket rather than having to carry two baskets around. Natural, of course. But I'm just saying it because I don't like the way that this area is entirely neglected. There's so much detail and it's so gorgeous. Look at that. It's gorgeous. But it's so underutilized. Look at, there's nobody here. This server is full. And there's so many people over in Solution 9 at the Nexus Arcade, but there's nobody here because there's no reason to be here. Other than the occasional person running by, doing their main story quest, like this person probably over here who just disappeared. There's no other reason for a person to be here. And that to me is a crying shame. So yeah, move the vendors for the Savage Raid gear over here. Do some like pop-up stands or something that are selling merchandise and just go, get your gear right here. You'd have players coming over here, teleporting to that Aetheirys right here, doing their shopping here and teleporting between here and the Nexus Arcade. It adds another hub of activity and it gives more people more excuses to see more of the city. Or just add little random vendors around the other areas as well. Stop trying to play ads on me, YouTube. Like, there's so many. This city is gigantic. Like, this is easily the biggest city we've gotten, and most of it is devoid of activity because there's nothing there. And as I said, we're only still a few weeks into the expansion. Well, about a month or two. Happy Friday, Darkness. But yeah, we're a month or two now into Dawntrail. I get it. Like, there's going to be multiple patches after this that are probably going to flesh out these aspects. Like, the government sector is probably going to get more activity as we explore Galulja's storyline. But I just find it really annoying that there's nothing going on in these zones. Like, I've explored the residential district top to bottom. I've explored the little extra rooms that are there. It's nice from a lore perspective, but there's not really much going on from a lore perspective either. There's a couple of NPCs talking about some random stuff, asking where their significant others are, but that's about it. There's more activity in the gardens outside. And they pay so much detail to adding this stuff, yet there's nothing going on with them. And this leads me to my second idea. think my tea is cooled down enough now for me to drink. Still a bit hot. So my second idea, aside from moving some of the vendors around, is add some special fates into a city like this. Like, a city like Solution 9 is gigantic. If you added a couple of fates that pop up randomly around this zone, people will have an excuse to just like, oh, they're idling in the Nexus arcade. A fate pops up. You know what? I'll go over and do that. And it's not combat fates or anything else like that. Just random little fates that give like special rewards. Like maybe they wouldn't give experience. Maybe they give a bit of experience, I guess. But they'd probably give like a special currency for getting special glamours to do with Solution 9. Maybe some housing items, collecting tokens, stuff like that. But the point I'm trying to make is, like, you could make fates about anything. Like, it's similar to the rebuilding of the firmament back in Shadowbringers. So you had fates like that where you had to bring supplies back and forth in order to build some of the houses. Wouldn't be that intricate, but say for example you're in the back alleys here. Say a fate pops up for collecting trash. Maybe there's a lot of strewn trash around all the different parts here. Maybe it's just rubbish strewn around the streets essentially, and you have to go around, pick them up, gather them all over by a bin. There was a quest like that had you picking rubbish out of the bins and bringing it back to the guy. Add little fates like that in this zone, and it would make this zone a lot more lively, because it would make the zone feel like it's actually alive. And this could be anything, like maybe there's graffiti on the walls. Maybe a fate would pop up here that we need to clean the graffiti off the walls. Maybe there's gang activity, anti-social activity that we need to start pushing people away. Non-combat stuff. Yeah, it's like the feats in the firmament, exactly. Like non-combat fates that give special little tokens for redeeming for glamour rewards or housing rewards that would improve over time. A simple little system like that. Like you have anti-social activity here with the Lalafels really intimidating this poor thing in order to get their money. I like that one. I really like that. Like you have this guy constantly kicking this. This is antisocial behavior. We've had a fate just saying, stop kicking the vending machine. He owes them money. Yeah, I agree with that. But there's other stuff, like maybe there's people like him kicking the vending machine. Fates to clear them up. Maybe there's another fate that pops up in the residential sector in order to clean up the gardens. We know that the gardens were, well, they're not tended to as much as they should be nowadays because of the changes to Solution 9. So a fate pops up here in order for us to tend to the garden. Trimming trees, pulling weeds, random little things just to make the city feel more alive. And I've never had this idea for any other city before, but it's just the sheer scale of Solution 9 and the fact that none of it is utilized is just really bugging me. And as I said, I've no doubt that this zone is going to continue to be utilized in the upcoming quests. The government sector, definitely. The recreation zone, the back alley, we're utilizing it for the new Savage. Like, Yan is already here, so her storyline and her sister storyline are going to continue. I'll get to that in a few minutes. And then you have this guy as well, who unlocks the random stuff. But there's just so much potential here, and there's nothing going on, which is really irking me. Like, you have random little tidbits around this zone, like this guy lying in the rubbish bin. Look at this guy. He's so comfy lying in, I'm colorblind, but I'm gonna say this is purple sludge or pink sludge. It's sludge, it looks like sludge. So he's lying in sludge. To each their own, he likes his sludge. It just annoys me that there's so much detail gone into the creation of this city and it's not utilized. Now, the dinosaur for graffiti is sick. I really agree. Yeah, the graffiti around this zone is really good as well. Like, you'd see a lot of random ones, like the dinosaur just over there is really good. And then you have the random little creatures that are all over. YouTube, stop trying to show ads. I'm gonna have to keep clicking that now, aren't I? Now, that leads me to my other thing as well. So, this is not actually Dawntrail related, but I will teleport to... Yeah, I'll teleport to Idleshire, because that's the best example. So this is an idea I had a while ago, but it only really clicked with me with Solution 9. Now, as I was saying a few minutes ago, every expansion gets 2 cities. So, for example, Endwalker got Old Sharlayan and Razatan. Old Sharlayan came first. It had the market board and everything else, and then you get the secondary city, which has everything except the market board. Idleshire is the secondary city of the Heavenward expansion, first one being Ishgard, of course. It got the same treatment, where it got most of the amenities, but it's perfectly laid out and there's NPCs all over it. And it doesn't have a market board. However, I think that's something they should change. I understand for the particular expansion, when it was new, a city like Idleshire not having a market board was understandable. But after the expansion is over and you've moved on to the next expansion, I think they should add market boards to the secondary cities after their expansion is over and done with. It would add a whole other reason for people to go to these secondary cities, because I don't know if you've been to Yulmore recently, but Yulmore is abandoned. There's nobody there. Whenever I go there, there's nobody there. The only people there are people going and doing their quests. There's no other reason for people to be there anymore. Idleshire is just a special place because it has so much more than just the random stuff. Like, I expect this is what Solution 9 will be like when all is said and done. We're going to get special vendors and stuff like that opening up. At least I hope so. But I think they should start adding market boards to the secondary cities of all the other expansions. So Idleshire gets one. Yulmore gets one. Rhalgr's Reach gets one. When's the last time you've been in Rhalgr's Reach? Think about that for a second. I can think about it. I think I was there when I was researching the 12 at one point, but haven't been there since then. Yeah, they also don't have an inn or a glamour dresser. That's 2 other things they could add. Solution 9. That's another primary example. Solution 9 should have an inn. The residential sector. We should have been given a room in the residential sector that we could just teleport to it, and then we have a room to play with. I would love a room like that. I mean, I'm not saying anything wrong about my room in Tuliolal. I love my hotel in Tuliolal. But if you're going to give me a room in Tuliolal and a room in Solution 9, I'm going to take Solution 9. So that's another prime example of stuff that they can add. And it would bring new life to the secondary cities that are currently... I'll go to Yulmore just for giggles, and I'll show you. So we'll go here. There's probably going to be 1 or 2 people walking around. That's at least what it was like the last time I was there. Okay, so you got 1 person. Yeah, so there's a few people here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I guess. Yeah, so there's a couple of people here, but it's a far cry from what it used to be. And it would have so much more activity if it had a market board. Stick a market board right there. Or over there. Anywhere. If you stuck a market board in Yulmore, people would have a much bigger excuse to come here, because the Etheirys, you teleport in and the market board is right there. It would turn into a major hub of activity similar to Sharlayan. The only reason Sharlayan is so popular right now is because it has a market board. So I think Old Sharlayan is next to Limsa Liminsa in terms of its proximity to a market board, if I recall correctly. Yeah, people need to be pushed out of Limsa. Like, I think this proximity is pretty much near or close to what Limsa has in terms of its market board activity. Like, even then, like, there's not really much going on here. But people have a reason to come here because of the market board. People don't have a reason to go to Yulmore much anymore because it doesn't have a market board. So, I digress. Yeah, just add market boards to secondary cities like that. Now, what was I going to say? I have another topic to cover, but I'm going to cover that in the second part of this. Yeah, like, if we go to Limsa right now, as loath as I am to go to Limsa, no, to be honest, I don't have an issue with Limsa. I have an issue with the activity in Limsa. Limsa was my first city. It's a special place in my heart as a result. But frick me if it's always so bloody busy. And there's always something weird going on in this city. And it's always a lag fest as well. I mean, look at the activity. Like, I mean, every game has a whole of activity like this. FF14 has Limsa, or depending on the server you're on, maybe it's Gridania. EVE Online has Jita. It's like, let's just give people more options and they'll take them. But I suppose Limsa is just cemented, especially on my server, that, yeah. But yeah, I don't really like coming here because the activity. I always keep my performances off because I don't want to get copyright strikes. The answer about to play again. No, thank you. Stop asking me. I thought I turned those off. But yes, let me go back to solution 9 now so we can talk about the other topic that I wanted to talk about. And that's solution 9. So, what was the other topic I wanted to talk about? Ah, yes, the Arcadian. So, I personally, like, I uploaded a video of my doing the Arcadian storyline. I personally enjoyed it, to be honest. Like, I didn't have an issue with the Arcadian storyline. I mean, the sister, I can't remember her name off the top of my head for some reason, she kind of irks me, but obviously she's trying to take my soul, like a freaking Grim Reaper or something. I can understand the storyline behind it, and I like the fact that the storyline ties into the main story of FF14. Like, that's something I really enjoy. Arcadian is simple and fun as well. Yeah, like the format of it is really good as well. Like, it's primarily, Arcadian is always primarily going to be around the fights. Of course it is, with the story is tacked on. The story is a secondary when it comes to raids, essentially. Like, and you go like, what, 6 or 8 months between storylines? It's natural the story is going to be a secondary care, but it has to have some sort of story to make it make sense. I like the story of it. And I've been wondering to myself, where is it going to go? Where is this story exactly going to go? And a lot of people have had a lot of different theories. So let me really quick open my... where is it? I keep notes for every raid, dungeons, Arcadian, that's the one. Okay. Let me turn the music back on as well. As much as I love listening to Solution 9, this makes things easier. Okay. Alright, what was the sister's name again? Yeah, Metem. I'll get to him in a minute. Let's see, where is... She turns up at the 4th one, doesn't she? Or I suppose I could just... Eutrope, that's her name, yeah. I couldn't remember off the top of my head, sorry. So Eutrope's her name, so... Yeah. So I like her as a character. She's pretty straightforward. I mean, she's suffering. You can see that she's suffering. I mean, her soul is being eaten alive. Yet she keeps using the frickin' feral souls. But she has a goal in mind, which is obtaining a very dense soul, which is ours. Now, people have had a lot of theories about who this Eutrope is exactly. Like, people are comparing her to being an incarnation of Azem, similar to what Ardbert was. I don't think that's the case, because I think it's already been mentioned that their parents are from Tuliyola, or they were Turali. So I think her parents were from Etheirys, and thus these guys wouldn't have a denser soul, or a less dense soul. And it wouldn't make Eutrope an incarnation. Although I do have an idea about who the incarnation is, but I may or may not talk about that in this stream because I'm still mulling it over myself. It's something that just came to me during my research. But I like where the story is going, and I have a feeling where the story is going to go. So I have a feeling, if you recall back to the attack on... Maybe I can find a picture of it. Yeah. You're not wrong, to be honest. A lot of people have theories about which the next incarnation it is. So let me find a picture real quick. of the attack on Tuliolal. Give me a second. Storied events. Attack on Solution 9 Toral. That's the one. And we're looking for... I'm pretty sure I got a picture of this thing, didn't I? Or did I not get a picture of it? Did I not get a picture of it? Okay, I didn't get a picture of it. Damn it. That's awkward. Maybe it's under items. Give me a second. Sorry about this. My picture library is a bit of a mess at the moment, so screw it. I'll just start talking about it. Do you know when the Alexandrians were attacking Tuliolal the first time, and the automated soldiers were prowling around the streets killing people, and once the automated soldier killed that poor old woman, used a special device in order to extract her soul and her memories from her and extracted them into the machine. Disgusting, of course, but I have a feeling that's something we're going to see pop up again. I have a feeling that Eutrope is going to turn up again, because she's already admitted that she was thinking about ambushing us on the street, but she decided to do it in the arena. But I have a feeling she's just going to sneak up on us again and try and use that device on us. So she's going to try and cut us down and use that device to take our soul. It's not going to work, obviously, but I have a feeling that one of our allies is going to come to the fore to be able to help her out with restoring her soul to how it needs to be. So I have a feeling it's all going to resolve itself after that, but I have a feeling that we're not done with her. She's going to try and take our soul again, and I think she's going to use that device to try and do it. Now, I have a feeling that the storyline is going to be a bit weird. Jim, that's the next thing I'm going to go on about. Metem, in my mind, is definitely 100% the bad guy, and this is why I think so. So we met Metem, of course, outside the arena, and he wanted to bring us on as a fighter, of course. After all was said and done with the fight with Eutrope, we're talking to Eutrope in the gym, and then Eutrope hears somebody coming, so she runs out the door, and she's already admitted that she already interacted with this mysterious president, whoever he was. So Eutrope headed out the door. As soon as she was gone, Metem came in, so neither of them interacted with each other. But I have a feeling if both of them were stuck in the same room, she would have went, "President." I have a feeling that's what he is. I have a feeling he's the mastermind behind all of this. It's a very early theory for me, but one of the main things that I think about is the fight with Black Cat. So when you're fighting Black Cat and the arena gets destroyed by her, the first thing that he yells is, "My ring!" You wouldn't hear any other announcer in any other sport say "my ring" when their ring gets destroyed. It's not their ring. That's why I think it was just a slip of the tongue. That was a slight nod to us, just to say he's the bad guy in disguise. So yeah, he was in the arena and he was the voice saying things. But him yelling that was a confirmation in my mind that, yeah, he's actually the head honcho, just in plain sight. It's a classic trope. It's done in so many tropes, so many times, that we've seen it a million times. To be honest, I've seen it so many times over the years that I think it's just a foregone conclusion at this point that he is that person. No, I wouldn't be surprised if he shared a soul with Telechi of the Lechi. Oh, that little bastard. Oh, he'll never get over that, will he? Little fucker. Fucking Telechi. Ah. It's the only Lala I wanted to butcher with my own hands. Yeah, he didn't stop Wicked Thunder from challenging us either, and then he comes on with this sob story about I didn't know. Of course he frickin' knew. It's such a lie. It's obvious that he knew. He's in the know. He wouldn't not know because he is the person in charge of all this. He's probably in charge of the Arcadian, and he probably runs the black market in this place, which is mostly around this area. So I have a feeling this is all going to happen, that the moment that Eutrope and him get in the same room, she's going to go, "It's you, you fucker." Do you think Square is going to be obvious with its shard reflections of NPCs, or would they be more hush-hush about it? obvious with their shadow reflections NPCs. Well, they've never really been hush-hush about it. I mean, some of them have been obvious, like Geralt, for example. We've seen 3 incarnations of that character so far. We have the Etheirys version, the first version, and now the Alexandrian version. And you see it sometimes in other characters, but not as comically, I think. Do I talk about this now? I'm still trying to mull it over. People are looking at Alexander's NPC saying this person is a shard of this and this person may feel like it's too far-fetched sometimes. Well, you have to think about it from a perspective of their shards all develop differently, so the people may not look exactly the same. Like, our character is a prime example. Ardbert was a Midlander, or whatever you called him on the first. And I'm obviously a Lala, so races do change. I mean, that's a player perspective, but it just goes to show that incarnations can be of different races. What was I saying? I lost my track of thought there. Yeah, it is too far-fetched because a lot of characters do look the same. So, yeah, it's nice to see them, and I sometimes see it as well, to be honest. Some of them are more obvious because Geralt is a very unique design for a character. So, you wouldn't see it in much of the others. At least I haven't seen it, to be honest. I think I've seen it a couple of times, but I haven't randomly seen other characters that would look like incarnations of others that I recognize. But I could be wrong. I've been paying attention to other things. Unfortunately, I haven't been paying attention to the faces of NPCs. I've been paying attention to what they're saying, not what they look like. I mean... if I was gonna go far on a stretch, like, I suppose that Melancholy could be Mother Mjorn. Now that I'm thinking about it, I actually just want to look at her real quick. Oh, wait, what is this place? Oh, I walked into the wrong zone. Wait, this is a garage. I never knew this place. Don't get me wrong, Mom wants a brilliant mechanic, but proper customers. Wait. Monon, hello. Looking to overhaul your ride. Yeah, see, there's little stuff like this that... Like, this is nice. I don't think I've ever walked in here before. That's weird. I've explored this place top to bottom and I never walked in there. But it makes sense because there's bikes all around it. Okay. Right, what was I saying? I wouldn't mind recoloring the bikes, but I'd say it'd require a lot more. I'd say they'll give us different variants. Or let us buy different variants, maybe. What was I saying? I lost my train of thought. Damn it. Oh, she's a bunny. I thought she was an elf there for a second. No, I wasn't talking about Tam. I think I was talking about her and I got her confused with somebody else. What was I thinking about? Yeah, so we were on the subject of reflection incarnations. Eutrope is definitely not, because the dialogue I think is already... I think an ad's about to pop up in a second. I think I missed the cue to stop it, so apologies in advance. What was I saying? Yes. So, Eutrope is not an incarnation of us, but I have a feeling I know who the incarnation of us is. Screw it, I'm just gonna say it. I don't want to say it. Yeah, sorry, I didn't have time to stop the ad, sorry. I'm just gonna say it, okay? This is something I've been thinking about for a while, but... No, not Sveen. It's Kryl. Now, let me tell you why I think it's Kryl. First, she was born on a different reflection. Naturally, the people did come from Etheirys originally, but they've been residing on that reflection for thousands of years after. And she, like, the people have all blended together, essentially. They've become part of that reflection, essentially. She is from the Alexandrian reflection. But the reason I'm saying this is because I've been researching Kryl a lot more closely recently because of a video that's coming up. And I've been thinking about her dialogue recently. Like, particularly I was looking at the cutscene where... Do you know what? Let me open my notes real quick. It's probably easier to just open my notes rather than just saying this. So, Dawntrail MSQ. So, what's the keyword? What's the keyword? What's the keyword? What's the keyword I'm looking for? Let's just try reflection first. Yes, it's near here. Okay. Why is this spazzing out on me? Okay. Alright, so here's the scene where Kryl is handed over. So I need to go past that and talk to Kryl afterwards. So this didn't happen in the main story dialogue. It was when you talk to her outside of the normal quest dialogue. So where is it? It's Kryl here somewhere. Alright, so this is still the main cutscene. Main cutscene. It's around here, isn't it? Yeah, here it is here. Okay. So, I struggle to believe I am from another reflection. I wonder, does this mean my soul is thinner than a native of the source? Surely not. Ysola would have noticed. Gosh, there's so much I don't understand, my head is ripe to burst. So this isn't covered in the main story, as I said. You have to talk to her manually in order to get this dialogue. But this made me think. Her soul is a lot more dense, or it's pretty much on the level of density of a person from Etheirys. Granted, her people are originally from there, but they've been living on this reflection for so long, and so many generations have come and gone, that her soul wouldn't be that same density. Like, everything would have normalized out, I think. Which is why I think that she's possibly a candidate for being an Azem reincarnation, or an incarnation of Azem from that reflection. Now, I'm terrified of this thought because a lot of people are thinking, and I'm thinking this as well, that sometime in the far future, the FF14 story is going to end by us becoming a whole individual, by all of our incarnation souls coming together as one, giving birth to Azem. And Azem travels back in time, and it all loops together. Cycle complete. FF14 story is now complete. Congratulations. But in order for that to happen, Kryl would have to die. Like, we've had so many candidates for incarnations of Azem from other reflections. A lot of people are under the opinion that Unukalhai is another of those incarnations. He is blessed with the Echo. He is from the 13th. Some people have said that he can't be an incarnation because we didn't have the same interactions with him as we had with Ardbert. So a lot of people are basing this on when we were with Ardbert on the 1st. And this is just the soul walking around, no corporeal body. And we touch, and then his soul starts lighting up along with our hand. But that's just because he's a soul, and it's resonating with us. Don't forget, we fought Ardbert with a physical body on the source, and we didn't have any of these interactions, and we had physical contact, definitely. He did try to chop her head off with that giant freaking bravura, didn't he? But it's something that had me thinking, and as much as it sounds cool, it also sounds horrible because I don't want Kryl to die. But yeah, I do agree with everybody in regards to the story that FF14's story will end with us becoming Azem and going back in time. The world gets sundered and then everything just repeats. And that's how our story ends. That's a beautiful way to end the FF14 story, if it ever ends. I don't think it's going to end, not for decades. I don't want Unukalhai to die either. Like, the perfect way to test this, actually. Because Unukalhai's soul is currently separated from his body. I think he's over on the 1st now in non-corporeal, corporeal form. So it's quite possible if we bump fist with him, if it lights up, then we know. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But yeah, that's essentially that topic that I wanted to talk about. So what else did I want to talk about? Yeah, this is the other thing I wanted to talk about. So I've been thinking about... I tried fist bumps with Kral many times, no glowy. Me too. Kral is still my favorite character. I love her so much. Okay, I'm looking for screenshots, which are here. I've been taking a lot of screenshots recently. Oh, my folder's full of this stuff again, isn't it? This is the one I wanted. So, you may already recognize the map in front of you as the map of Etheirys. Now, I've been looking at this map for the past week or so, just going... Yeah, I don't really want to think about the continuity problems for now, because we already have enough continuity problems as is when it comes to the timeline. Yeah, people were also saying Golbez was one of them as well, but his soul is currently locked away in that crystal as well, so God knows what's going to happen with that. They really need to find a solution for that as well, like freeing these souls. But yeah, on to this next topic here. So I've been thinking about what we have currently explored and what we have currently not explored. So let me open this real quick with GIMP, because I need to do a bit of editing on it. So I've been thinking about... I did a video not long after Endwalker called Where To Next, and I explored some of the locations on Etheirys about likely where we're going to be going based off of itself's dialogue. But I wanted to explore this with you because I wanted to pinpoint what are the other locations exactly that we haven't explored, because if we look at this, like, the world is largely complete. Like, the world of Etheirys is loosely based upon our own world map. Like, it has a lot of similarities. But most of it has literally been discovered now or looked at. So, in terms of expansions, there's limited zones where you can go now. So, I wanted to really just quickly point out what is and isn't available. So, let me see if I can edit this properly. So, brushy, right sizey. So we're going to highlight what we have seen, and then we'll find out what we haven't seen. So we have, oh, that's too bright. Too bright. Yeah, Mirror City is definitely the next one. So we've explored all of this so far in Dawntrail. We've seen a bit of Yaktaral, Solution 9. We haven't seen this portion. I've tried to make out this text on a higher quality version of this as well, but I haven't been able to make out what this text is. If somebody has the text of what that name is, let me know, because I haven't been able to make it out. So this is essentially what we explored in Dawntrail. There's still this little portion of map down here and all of this as well that we haven't explored. As you can see, it goes all the way down here. Now, we've explored the entirety of Vilebrand, of course. We've explored up here. We haven't explored the northern part of the Eorzean map yet, so up here we haven't explored. We've explored to here, here, largely all of this. The only thing we haven't really explored is Pagalthan. We've seen it in... We saw it in a dungeon, but I don't count it, because if it's just a dungeon, I'm not going to count it. And there's islands off the coast as well that we haven't explored. So there's still parts of Eorzea up north and over here that we haven't explored yet. These islands are where our personal island is, so we've already done that. The South Sea Isles were supposed to be here. Now they're over here. But there is islands here that we haven't explored, so that's nice as well. The Drown. We explored the Drown in a dungeon as well in Stormblood when we made our sail across towards Kugani. So we've already explored that a bit, but there's not really much to see here. The South Sea Isles, we've mainly explored it in another dungeon, the Alo Alo Island dungeon. But the Alo Alo Island itself is where the... Skip that. The Alo Alo Island is where the Milala came from. So that's the island they were living on before they used the key to change reflections. And now, right, the biggest problem child on the entire freaking world map, which we keep kicking and screaming about, which is Garlemald and the Ilsebar continent. So you can see Garlemald, we've already explored that. We haven't explored the Sea of Stars. We haven't explored the main parts of Ilsebar proper. We've explored Tavnir. All of this is up for grabs. Still. Can we say we've explored Dalmasca? I'm going to say no, because we haven't. We've explored Doma. Yep. We've explored up here in Othard. We haven't explored over here, I don't think. So we've explored here. We haven't explored the rest of this yet. The burn we've saw in a dungeon. I really want to explore the burn more. The burn is probably my favorite dungeon because I have a weakness for salt flats. That's the reason that I like that. Yozana Hete, east of Yozana Hete, thank you very much. Yangsha down here is something that we really need to explore as well. We did get some context regarding Yangsha and Corvos as well. Corvos suffered badly during the final days, apparently. Our Scion allies are heading to Yangsha. Another main part that we haven't explored, so we've explored Kugane, but we haven't explored the rest of Hingashi, which is off limits to outsiders, so they still have an isolationist policy. They might soften up now that the Guardian Empire is gone. Don't know, but it's something else to explore as well. The island chains down here, we largely haven't really explored them either. And then of course you have the continent of Mericidia here, which is definitely up for grabs. It's one of the most anticipated places. The Blind Frost up here and a number of island chains as well. That's largely it. Oh yeah, Charlene, of course. Yeah, so we've explored this. I think this is the Isle of Al. I'm not really sure. I'm just gonna say yes. Okay, so there's a lot of it up for grabs still. Like, if you look at it from this context, we haven't really explored that much, have we? So there's still a lot to grab. Ilsebard is still very open for the taking. The Northern Empty, Air's Land. Mericidia is definitely going to be the focus of an expansion. Definitely. What RL places Mericidia aligned with? I think, like, if you went from the perspective of our world, Australia makes the most sense. I don't know if it's going to look like Australia. I mean, Toral kind of has the theme of what North America is. So if it did look like Australia, I wouldn't really mind. Like, you can see like, for example, like the dragon activity around here as well. Like, I like this. I like the fact that there's so many dragon pictures around this. So I have a feeling that's where Tiamat is. Well, not certain, but I'd say it's definitely a very likely possibility that she and her brood retreated to Mericidia. But as Emmett Selk said, we don't know much about its present state of affairs. It means there's affairs going on. It means there's something here. There's something going on, but we just don't know what's going on yet. Fantasy Africa. Yeah, it might be a combination of Africa and Australia, because Africa hasn't really gotten much representation in our overall maps. It's gotten some nods to it in other parts. But a mixture of Fantasy Africa, Australia, as Kazan said there, is a very distinct possibility, and I'd welcome it, to be honest. I really want to see Hingashi as well, so I'm really curious about this isolationist civilization. Yeah, Insanity, you are correct. So 2 of our Scion allies are heading to Ersland, which is up here, which is the ancestral home of the Rogadin race, or at least the Sea Wolves. And the Hellsguard are up here. So It's a very inhospitable environment, volcanic activity and stuff like that. This is where the Hellsguard are from. I wouldn't mind seeing that as well. But there's lots of places to choose from, but a lot of people... I need to survive until Mericidia. I have a feeling Mericidia will be next. I think we're going to get another reflection in 8.0. But I think Mericidia will be likely as well. So I think we're going to get Mericidia and we're going to get a part of another reflection. They wouldn't give us an entire planet because I'm assuming whatever reflection we're going to get is hail and whole. We don't know the context behind exactly why we're going to this reflection. I mean, we know Y'shtola wants to go to the first, but she'll also want to go to the other reflections. This ability is going to be unlocked very soon. But we don't know exactly why yet. But yeah, that's something I really wanted to just quickly explore. Just to show that there's a lot of meat left on this Etheirys bone. Like, there's so many areas here that have not been fully explored yet. By us, at least. Like, I want to see what's going on in Dalmasca. Like, Dalmasca has been freed now from the grasp of the Empire. I want something to happen here. I want to see exactly what's going on here. Yanxia is another place I want to see. There's a rainforest here as well, apparently, that I want to see what's going on. I think we've explored this place, haven't we? Yeah, reflection ventures. Like, ventures onto other reflections I don't mind. So, traveling through a gate onto a specific continent or area, like Living Memory was, I don't particularly mind. Would they add an entire world? Doubt it. Something similar to the first, that you get a single continent? Perhaps. But it would need to be an entire storyline based around that world. But we don't exactly know exactly what's going to be going on in terms of these other reflections. The only thing I can think of so far, which is something I mentioned in my theory video, is that one of these reflections is going to be pissed off about the fact that Sphene connected her reflection to another in order to absorb its aether. So whichever reflection was connected to is going to be pissed off. But we haven't even gotten confirmation yet about whether or not Sphene connected her reflection to another reflection. For all we know, she connected her reflection to the source, but just a different part of it. So we don't know whether or not that the connection of interdimensional fusion that she opened connected, for example, Living Memory or her reflection to Mericidia. So something could have opened on Mericidia and the aether could have been stripped from the land for all we know. We just don't know. We don't know exactly what's going on this continent. I'm thinking perhaps what if the other reflections are connected to each other? Yeah, there is a connection. They've already established this. I'm not going to go too far into this because I'm still mulling over the connections myself. Specifically, for example, have you seen the theory that the key is an Orosite? I haven't actually seen other people's theories, to be honest, Kazan. I don't watch other people's videos because I don't like to scheme my own thinking. What if they merge to each other? Yeah, that's another theory I brought up in my last video, in that Alexandria ended up on another reflection entirely. Or not Alexandria, Living Memory ended up on a different reflection because of interdimensional fusion. That was my theory for the opening up of the storyline for Final Fantasy XI, for the Alliance raids. But as I was saying there, yeah, Tender Valley. So Tender Valley was an interesting one, but it happened far before that. When we were exploring the Sky Deep cenote, and we encountered the golem creatures that looked like they were Ronkin in origin, and when I saw them the first time I was like, what is this? Why are they here? And I didn't really understand that at the time. And then in Tender Valley they popped up again along with the greatest serpent of Tural, which is aka the great serpent of Ronka. And it showed, and the NPC said afterwards as well, that there's definitely been a connection between Etheirys and the First for some reason. There's knowledge switched between our reflection and the First through means that we do not understand and apparently happened thousands of years ago. I haven't really speculated on it because we have too little information. I haven't made a video on it as well because it would just be a theory. And I don't really have many theories at the moment in regards to why this is a thing. Like, why do these structures of Yokui origin have the great serpents within them and golems that look like they were from Ronka? Do you think that Shototo will have a big role? We have already seen a Shototo in the FF14 story. I'm not really sure about Shototo, to be honest. We did see her already, or her incarnation at least. I don't think so. We might see because we've already seen the FF11 Shototo appear on our world before, so it's entirely possible that she will show up. We've seen Shototo in the Black Mage storyline, but we've also seen the fate of the FF11 character. So if you were playing during A Realm Reborn, let me show you here. Yeah, it's not a good image, but still. So you might remember this, where she showed up in a fate that you had to, in order to defeat her. She kept growing. It was a fun fate. I remember that fate back in the day. I would love to see her again. So if she's included in the storyline, I'd be very happy. I'd love to have a big raid fight with her, to be honest. If she looked like that as well. That's something I definitely subscribe to. Gnault dreamed of and created an exact replica of Geralt's kettle. But yeah, I would like to see Shototo. Is it Shatoto or Shantoto? I think it's Shantoto. I would love to see Shantoto in FF14 again. Somehow linked to the FF11 expansion. And I think it's likely because I think she was one of the most popular characters in 11. Iroha. Who's Iroha again? Hang on. Iroha. Oh yeah, that's right. Sorry. To be honest, I did that quest line back in A Realm Reborn, and I remember almost nothing about it now. So that quest line has popped up multiple times for us, but I'm not able to do it because I already did it before. I completely forgot about her. I would like her to turn up again. I think she's just been wandering around, and I think the time is nigh for her to pop up. Maybe she found a hint of how to get back to her own world, and that's the reason that the Alliance raid pops up. Yeah, Shatoto is the Black Mage, and Shantoto F11. Thank you very much. Alright, what else did I want to talk about? I think I pretty much talked about everything I wanted to. I'm sorry about these ads. I keep clicking them, telling them to stop, but I think I just set up the stream wrong. But yeah, going back to my earlier topic, now that there's a lot more people here. I was talking about this zone being heavily underutilized. So I'm still of the opinion that they need to change this zone's architecture and change where the NPCs are. So put the NPCs over here, or put the vendor NPCs for the raid gear over here, so people can go over there, and add little side fates to this area to allow people to go to and from. And as somebody mentioned a few minutes ago, give us an inn room in the residential sector. I would love an inn room like that you can stare out the window at this beautiful skyscape going by. Because as I've said this a million times in this one stream, I've said it a million times, I'm annoyed at the sheer beauty and effort that went into the design of this city, only for none of the city to be utilized. All the activity is here, and nobody is here, nobody's here, nobody's here. You've seen me wandering around this zone for the past 20 minutes, and haven't seen a soul. Nobody's wandering around this part of the map. Which is why I brought up the idea earlier of add some special fates to this map. This map is gigantic. Some fates here would be brilliant. they don't have to be combat fates. You're picking up trash, maybe you're cleaning the walls, maybe you're doing the lawns over in the residential sector. And you get special tokens for getting some gear or glamours or whatever. That's something they should really think about. I'll probably do a recommendation post on the forums just to say, bring some life to Solution 9, because right now, I'm probably one of the few people on my own server who actively walks around this zone. Look at it. This, to me, like, it feels like I'm in a game with no players. When I'm walking around this part of the map, it feels like I'm in a game with no players. It feels like I'm in a dead MMO. And I can't blame anybody for it. As I said, there's no reason for anybody to go away from these two areas to explore these, because there's nothing going on here. There's no NPCs, there's a bit of lore, but once you've seen it once, most people won't come back. I have a reason to come back because I do research and it's a place for me to think. But yeah, I've already talked about this, so I'm not going to start talking about this again. I feel FF14 is becoming super formulaic since Shadowbringers. A lot of people would tend to agree. Let me lower this down a bit. So, yeah, the formula for FF14 has largely unchanged. So the formula is, you get your expansion, you get 3 patches to resolve the storyline of that expansion, then you get 2 patches or 3 to get you ready for the next expansion. That expansion comes out, rinse, repeat. The only time it didn't really happen was with Endwalker, because Endwalker had to finish off the storyline from the past decade, and now we're starting a new one. So now we're back on the same track again, essentially. My throat's getting very dry. Whew. But yeah, as you can see, you come here, loads of activity. It's 6:05 now, so an hour has gone by since I was last here. You'll see there's loads of people here because people have a reason to be here. No reason to be over at the residential sector. There's nothing going on for them. Like, look, million people here. And I like it. There's nothing wrong with having loads of people here. It's just that when you look at the rest of this gigantic, beautiful frickin' city, none of it is utilized. Which kind of annoys me. And this is a beautiful area as well. I love the fact that all the cars are on display, the bikes. But you've got certain aspects of this part as well that are completely unutilized. Like, if you go over here, for example, this place over here would be perfect for a market board in the future. So after Dawntrail is all said and done, stick a market board here or turn these terminals into market board terminals. But it's just a place tucked in the back that is not utilized at all. Like, we walked through it once on our storyline, but we never visited it again. We walked through this bar once in our storyline, never visited it again. I think people are under the opinion Delia is the incarnation of somebody else as well. But yeah, it's just, I don't like wasted space, to be honest. And this is not wasted, it's beautifully designed, it's just they haven't utilized it correctly. Like, the residential districts are a prime example. I don't know if you've ever walked through these buildings. So in the main story quest, for example, we entered one of these blocks and entered one of the rooms. But there's 3 other blocks, and the other blocks each have a room that you can enter. But other than that, there's no real reason to come over here. There's no NPCs, there's a few lore bits and bobs. People knocking around. Yeah, the only time people would really be here is when they're doing their main story quest. Like, these blocks all look the same, FYI. So, yeah, so the room that we entered in the other block, I think it was this block, or this block. But the room we're going to go into is upstairs. But it's just an example that this place is so completely underutilized. Beautifully designed. I love the look of it. I'd love an apartment block like this. You walk around it, there's some random NPCs going about their business. One of them's like, you don't live here. Why are you here? Get out of here. You can tell the rooms are open because they're blue. Opens up. And she's like, where is he? I don't know. Don't know where he is. Rooms all look the same, all same format, but the designs on the rooms are a bit different as well. I'm still going through the yellow quest slowly but surely, depending on what I'm actively researching. But yeah, to borrow a Peter Griffin reference, it grinds my gears. That you have a zone like this that has so wonderfully detailed, yet is not utilized at all. Like, you have NPCs that are tucked away in the nooks and crannies that you can talk to. That's brilliant. I don't mind that at all. Like, if I go over here, as I recall, and I go behind, I think there's an NPC I can talk to. Yeah. So if you talk to this person, I think he says, what are you doing here? Don't think I've seen you before. You don't live here, do you? Listen, we residents don't take kindly to folks just wandering in here unannounced. Yeah, I get it. I kind of feel the same. But other than that, there's no reason to come here. And it's annoying. And this is just one block. There's 4 of these frickin' things. And there's nothing in them. All this designed work for blocks that are not utilized. It just gets my goat sometimes. I don't like places that just like... I can see where they fit. Like, the residents of these zones live in them. But... And you gave us access to them. Thank you very much. But there's nothing to do in them. Other than talk to some of the NPCs. But they don't really have anything interesting to say, to be honest. If they gave me something lore-breaking, yeah, I'd love it. If they had some side quests, I'm going to assume we'll get a couple of extra side quests as the expansion goes on. I don't know. I always like these two. Like, I got absolutely fleeced today. So I'm assuming he got mugged. And this guy is just chilling out. He's a very pasty-faced elf, isn't he? This guy with his coffee. Cheers. But yeah. I'm just not a fan. Not a fan. Like, there's a few people that you'd see knocking around enjoying themselves. Like, I think this is where you do the main story quest, so... Hello there. Hello there. So yeah, you see a couple of people going around enjoying themselves. I think they're doing their quest though. Fairly positive. Because if I look at this... Well, I'll know for sure if I go over here. So if there's somebody here, or there's a door open... Oh, it's not. Okay, so they're just knocking around doing their random thing. So they're essentially like me, just knocking around doing their thing. But this block's identical to the one I was in a minute ago. And aside from an extra room, some random NPCs knocking around. And it's the same room that's open again. Different designs on the wall. She loves her fishies, I remember that. I mean, thank you. It's a beautiful room. But there's nothing going on. It reminds me of an MMO from 20 years ago, where you'd have so much open, wasted space. Like, I feel like I'm pissing and moaning about it. And in some ways I am. But it's just that I love the look of this city so much that it hurts me almost to see it so underutilized. It hurts me to look at this map and know that 95% of the players on this entire map are here. And nobody's here, nobody's here, nobody's here. Because they don't need to be. There's nothing there for them. It just gets to me. I don't like stuff like that. I don't like spaces that go to waste. I can get it if it was... If this wasn't the expansion it was part of. Like, we're still in the same expansion. And this place is just dead, aside from the hub. I mean, Limsa has this problem as well. Like, people would all be gathered in the same area. The rest of Limsa Liminsa is essentially empty. Although you see people running around doing their idle thing. But you have, like, so many shops that are open that... By all rights, you could add frickin' NPCs selling food or something. Like, anything. Just add it in. There you go. Give us a... Like, add more menders. Give us a mender over here. Like, if there was a mender here, for example... This would give me an excuse to stand outside the Arcadian before I go into a Savage Raid. Once I pop out of the Savage Raid, I can do my repairs and just stand around this area. Instead, I have to stand in this area, go into the raid, come out of the raid, teleport over here or run over here, repair, and then come back here. Annoys me. The drink from the MSQ, yeah, that food we've never seen again. We haven't been able to buy them, I don't think. Yeah, they made it feel like a gigantic city, but they haven't given us any essence. There's no essence here. There's beauty. It looks like a giant canvas, but there's nothing in it. That's why I think they should change it. As I said, I think the government sector is going to get a lot more activity because we're going to be exploring the storyline of the future of Alexandria, Solution 9, and Golulja. So I'd say that sector is going to get a lot of activity. We saw some side quests which I've already done in that area. But I mean, look, there's obviously a giant oh, I thought my feet disappeared there for a second. There's a giant city, there's highways and stuff like that. I wish we could see the highways. I wish one of the highways came down here, you know that? Instead of them all being up there, I wish one of them came down here and we could see the cars and stuff like that zooming by. I would have loved that. Like, if I was standing over there and there was a highway just zooming by here, and I could see all the stuff on it. I prefer S9 over Tuliolol. I agree. Like, Tuliolol is a lovely city, but in terms of which city vibes with me more, S9 beats it hands down. I mean, look at it. Look at it. It's... I'm gonna curse. It's fucking beautiful. Look at it. It's so beautiful. It's so pretty. And so underutilized. But yeah, that's my gripe about that. I'm not going to talk about that anymore because I'm just going to keep spinning my wheels. There's nothing I can do about it. That's true, Jim. It does remind you of Amarat in some ways. It reminds you of like his facsimile of Amarat. There was nothing really going on in it. You could explore around, get some hints. But that was just like a city within a zone, essentially. Like, this place feels like a zone. It is a, well, it is a zone. But it feels like you're outside. You're in a normal zone where stuff should be happening. I think that's what's tricking me, actually, now that I think about it. The sheer scale of the zone is tricking you to think there's more should be going on than it actually is going on. This looks and feels like Living Memory, for example. Like Living Memory, if you go to Living Memory, we'll go to Living Memory right now, right? And I'll show you this. You pop into Living Memory, and there's stuff going on. There's reasons to explore Living Memory. There's fates. And there's multiple little things going on. Like, ignore the fact that everything's grey, but to be honest, I don't really mind this at all. But if you look at the zone, there's so much going on. Like, it feels like a gigantic city. That's what I love about this place. I said this a million times in my playthrough. That this feels like just a third city that you're just walking around. But it has so many fates going on and stuff, which I really enjoy. And I don't mind the colour scheme at all, because I like the fact that there's real trees and shrubbery combined with a grey cityscape combined with a blue sky. Yeah, Sagetown. That's a good way of putting it. It's Sagetown. But I do enjoy this town a lot. So I have no issues with this town at all. And of course you can go back You can always go back and just see it as it was. So we'll do that right now just for giggles. So new game plus, zoom. And then look, we're back to golden, lovely, yummy. And everything's back to the way it was. All the NPCs are back to doing what they're doing. And you can enjoy the city as it was meant to be enjoyed. Of course, you can't keep this zone on all the time. The saddest 2 NPCs in this entire zone. I hate this, do you know that? I really hate this. I said this in my playthrough, but did you see this before? These 2 NPCs walk around this pillar and they never get to meet each other, and they keep panicking about, where is she? Why can't I find her? And anytime they walk around with the pillar always in between them. I know, you just wait a few minutes and then they finally reunite, but the first time I was here, it made me so sad because I was watching these 2 constantly circle around and they would never meet. And then eventually, like, I'll show you my God's honest reaction, right? So let me open it actually, because my God's honest reaction is in there. So let me see here. Yeah, a lot of people have said to me, you shouldn't have uploaded this as a 9-hour video, Wyrm. And I was just like, do you know what? I thought about it and I just said, you know what? I just want to upload it the way it is. If people want to watch it, if people don't want to watch it, that's them. The sound was a bit iffy, but yeah, I had my interactions with them. Where is it? So the truth, no. Yeah, raw canals, I think. Yay! Cut it. Smooth and rich. Laying out here for free for people to grab. Oh, yeah. Yeah, all the merch is free apparently, so you can just grab stuff. I have a question as well, right? While we're on this subject. Who was he talking about on the boat? I can't remember a character he was very attached to that he wanted to talk to. Was he talking about his mother or somebody he loved in the past? Did he ever mention somebody like this? What do you mean, us? You. Are you sure? No, we died in the 8th Calamity. We died in the Gimlet Dark. Yeah, but we were dead while he was asleep, so he never got to see us again. I suppose that could be the reason. But wait, is it that simple? Okay, I never got that connection. Oh, hang on. Okay. All right, I never got that connection. Okay, never mind that. Okay. Now, what was I doing? Yeah. Oh, yeah, there we go. So I was exploring around, taking screenshots and stuff like that. Oh, this is depressing. Seriously. This person's lost and they're looking for someone. And they can't find them. But the worst part is, the person's at the other side. And they're like, where is she? I don't know where she is. But they keep rotating behind each other, looking for each other. Wait, and then I was like, find each other? Oh, thank God. Okay. Okay, they found each other. Oh, thank God. Oh, thank God. Okay. It seriously got to me. I was just like, oh, I can't take this. You can't have these people wandering around. This is sick. And then when they finally reunited, I was like, whew. Okay. Thank you. Fuck. I have to say, Living Memory, the zone itself, the storyline all around it. Yeah, it's sadder because they're Lalafels, I agree. If they were Ellison running around, I wouldn't be as connected, to be honest. But I don't know if everybody else got the same connection I did with the story of everything going on in living memory. So the storyline of the overall theme of loss, acceptance of loss as well, was something that hit me extremely hard. So I even mentioned it. I think I should. I'll play it. Fuck it. I'll play it. Like, this hit me really hard. This whole Namika hit me. This thing with Namika hit me extraordinarily hard. I was pretty sad after this, and I mentioned it here, I think.
Come, let's keep moving.
Oh. Yeah, I was at this point I was shattered. After seeing Namika, I was like, no, I can't do it. That hit me more personally because of my own mother. So yeah, fuck it, I may as well just let it play out actually. I've only mentioned this to my friends really, but my mother passed away in January. And in a lot of ways I haven't been the same since. But she gave me a good life and I did what I could for her, so in that regard I have no regrets, but having a scene like that happen again just makes me think, oh, how good it would be to see someone like that again. To be honest, I still feel the same way. Anytime I see the zone, I can't help but think about the feelings that it brought out of me when I was going through it. Because the theme of loss, Erenville losing his own mother, Namika disappearing, it's just gut punch after gut punch after gut punch. And it hit me very personally. And I remember when I was all said and done, I completed Dawntrail. I was pretty much like, I was emotionally exhausted after everything, do you know that? And if you've watched my playthrough, I bawled my eyes out for the rest of Living Memory. So after Namika, I was sad. Then I got sadder as we got to Yesterland, and then I was bawling my eyes out with Erenville. And it just hits you so hard. I mean, I like the fact that it hits you so hard. It's so good. The story deserves to hit you like that. But especially if you felt past trauma, this zone hits you differently. If I'll say it like this, if you've experienced a loss of some sort, I think this story will hit you differently. It's just, it makes you wish for fonder times, and it makes you nostalgic for things in the past, which is something I love about this zone. The storyline was amazing when you got here. Like, people thought the story was slowed down a bit, and then you get to Living Memory, and then all of a sudden it's gut punching you multiple times just to say, here you go, have your emotions. A great expansion. I love this expansion, to be honest. I love this zone in general. I hope it's eventually going to turn around to us getting this place lit up again, but I don't suppose this place has any use anymore. Now that the Endless are gone, this place is just redundant now, isn't it? There's nobody else to enjoy it unless people are going to move here, which I doubt. There is a connection to get back, but nobody but us is going to utilize it. I would love Living Memory restoration, but we have a list of restorations we need to do, don't we? I mean, we have to restore Garlemald. What else did we have to restore again? Garlemald was one. And then we had other projects that we needed to do as well, didn't we? So, I wouldn't mind something happening here, but I suppose we'll have to wait and see. But we're going to some sort of lunar landscape for whatever upcoming content is going to be anyway, so. Still, I think I pretty much said everything I wanted to say now in this stream, didn't I? Yeah. And perhaps it's going to be like Ultimate Thule and be forgotten. That's a fair point. Do you know that? That's a fair point. Yeah, Ultima Thule was very emotional in the beginning, wasn't it? And then it was over and done with. And then we had nothing to do with it anymore. So, yeah, in that regard, it's very similar, isn't it? It's just going to be forgotten. And if you think about Ultima Thule as well, Ultima Thule didn't get very utilized after the main story, did it? It got the allied tribe, and it got the extended conclusions of the allied tribe, and then there was nothing else really, was there? The living memory ends up forgotten. Yeah, it's a bit ironic, isn't it? I still love that. That's really nice. I also like the fact that we met the NPC, the person who designed that, and he gives us his insights about it. It was really good. I wonder if Milala was the name prior to travelling over, and then giving after reaching a new shard. It might have been what they called themselves on the South Sea Isles, and Lalafell was a name they adopted once they all migrated. Entirely possible. I'd say that was what their original name was, you know? But we're also assuming that it's a reflection of the source, don't forget, so it has the same races and species that the other reflections and the source has. So it's a given that there would already have been Lalafells on that reflection, and they may have been called Milala. So the Milala that transferred over from Etheirys just would have blended in with the rest of the Milala that are actually on that reflection. Tempted to do fate, tempted to do fate, tempted to do fate. But yeah, a lot of detail went into this map, and then it all turns grey, which is kind of a gut punch as well, isn't it? Like, you get this enormously beautifully designed map, and then all of a sudden it turns grey afterwards. So they had to design this area twice. They designed it first, and then they had to make it all go dark afterwards. So they had to design this area twice. So you switch the lights on, switch the lights off, switch the lights off, switch the lights on. So in that regard, I think I need to go back now anyway. So suspend, and we're dark again. I really like these, to be honest. They're so goofy, I love them. Spriggans with glasses on. As an FFXIV fan, I was seriously pissed at destroying the entire area and the lack of BGM. Well, there is a background music, it's just muted. You can change it by going to New Game Plus. So if you go to New Game Plus and go back to any part, so Endwalker Part 4 for example, hit start or resume, and the area turns back to how it was before we actually got there. So then when you turn New Game Plus off, everything goes back to the way it was. That was instrumental for me for doing my research as well. So I need to take screenshots and stuff. It's still a nice zone. Like, there's a nice contrast between the living and the not living, if that makes sense. So all the trees are actually alive. The shrubbery is all alive. The trees lining the palm tree thingies. So there's a nice contrast between what's living and what's, well, lifeless. But the fact that there's now nobody in this city at all. So after you do all the side quests, which I've already done, aside from the fates, there's nobody here. Aside from the automatons, which are around here offering you random stuff. I didn't even realize there were striking enemies here, so something worth thinking about. But yeah, I think that's everything I wanted to go through today. So I think I'll probably leave everything here because the Pokemon World Championship starts in a few minutes. So I'm definitely going to be settling down for the evening to watch that. Can't wait for that, to be honest. I always love watching that every year. So everybody, go on and enjoy your Fridays, and if you're interested in Pokemon at all, I highly recommend you tune in because it's going to be good. It's in Hawaii this time. I would have loved to go, but too busy, and it's also very expensive to go to Hawaii. I would have loved to go to Hawaii, but where I am right now, Hawaii is literally on the opposite side of the planet. So if I wanted to fly from Ireland to Hawaii, I literally had to fly to the other side of the globe. It would have been cheaper for me to go to Japan, and that's where I'd rather go to Japan, to be perfectly honest. I mean, maybe one day I'll go to Hawaii, but I don't know. I'm not really good with hot climates, to be honest. So heat isn't really my good thing. I've always said this to people. If you give me the choice of Barbados in the summer, Siberia in the winter, I'll take Siberia. I'm a cold guy. I love my cold. But anyway, that's enough rambling at me. Go on, enjoy your Fridays. And everybody have a good one. My next video will be coming soon. I'm not sure how soon it's going to be. Primarily because I'm going through an evolution again. Well, I don't suppose I'm going through a transition. So anytime I feel like I'm plateauing, I decide to take a transition to go to a different kind of medium. So in the past, I've changed the ways I formatted my videos. Other times I changed the way I showed different aspects of music and images on the screen. Just recently I started to change the way I dictate my voice and dictate the sentencing and how I do paragraphs and stuff like that in my scripts. With the new scripts that I'm doing, I've noticed as well, the subject I'm researching for my next video, for example, is a subject that's as old as Heavensward. But I didn't want to do it until now because its storyline only resolved in Dawntrail. So you might already know what I'm talking about. So when I was thinking about the events of this particular story from back in Heavensward or Stormblood, for example, I could remember them, but I couldn't remember the exact context. So when I went back and started researching, after I'd written a preliminary draft of the script, I realized I'd gotten the events correct, but the context of them was entirely correct, or incorrect. So I was seeing like, this person was here and they felt this way and they did this, when it was actually, no, they weren't there at all, but it ended up exactly how I'd actually did it in the first place. Sir Next, yes, unfortunately the stream's going to be ending in a second because I'm going to be watching the Pokemon World Championships in a second. But yeah, the new video I'm working on, I decided to evolve my content in that I want to portray the emotion of the actual person that I'll be looking at, or the place or the event, more than just dictating this happened, then this happened, then this happened, this happened. That's something I did in the past. But now I want to show more the emotion behind the events that are happening. So how is this person feeling? Are they conflicted? Are they angry? Are they upset? Are they vengeful? Whatever. So it's causing my scripting to be a bit longer. I'm putting more research into it, which I enjoy. But this particular topic, I have to research it all over again because as much as I remember the end results, I can't remember everything in between because it happened so long ago. I've been playing this game for too long that if I try to think back to a decade ago, I can remember the results of something, but I can't remember how we ended up getting there. So I remember that this dragon dies, but I don't know what happened like 5 minutes before that. So how did this dragon end up being there in the first place to get killed, for example? So we know Nidhogg is defeated, but how did Nidhogg end up getting there? And then you'd look at the script and you're just going, oh, they baited him into going there. Okay, I get it. But either way, I'm mumbling too much and it's time for me to watch Pokemon World. So everybody, have a good night, have a good Friday, and enjoy your weekends.